how to pause before reacting. So, as a kid, I was one to just explode, lose my temper very easily, and if things were not going my way, I would make sure to let people know by being very loud, unruly. I would, I might even break things and cause some damage. And I don't know why I did this. Like as a kid, I guess I'm still learning how the world works, but yeah, it's not the best way to go about things, and it's best to think before you act. And I know that can be difficult. I know from personal experience because I used to be a bit crazy as a kid, just throwing things, like hitting things, and yeah, it took me many years, but I've learned that that's not the way to do things. Like if I lose at a game, I would just shove the person that's next to me if it's a video game or just things like that, which I know are totally inappropriate. And like what stopped me from doing that is just a lot of practice with self-control. So rather than react immediately, if there's something that I disagree with, I think, how bad is this really? And like for example, say someone is really rude to me and they're not very pleasant to deal with. I could react. I could just start yelling at them and trying to show them my dominance. But instead of doing that, what I found is more helpful is to just remain calm. Yes, they're rude, and if possible, I just move on. I don't associate with them anymore unless I have to. Like, say if it's family. If it's family, then try to talk to them about it. I'll be like, hey, that what you said was not said in a polite way, and it would be nice if you could be nicer about how you approach me, because I found that to be a little rude. And if that still doesn't work, then yeah, it would be pretty much avoidance at that point, because I'll still show up to family events, but I'll talk to that person less, try to interact with them less. And because if you come to think about it, there's billions of people on this planet, and unless you work with them or their family, there's no reason to continue forcing yourself to deal with an unpleasant situation. Like, why deal with the unpleasantries when you can just move on and be like, this friend is being a a-hole. Why am I going to continue being their friend? Just they want to hang out again after being such a jerk. You'd be like you just don't answer their call or text and move on. Well, unless there may be an exception. Like, say if they were drunk or somewhat incapacitated in some other way where they just weren't themselves, then maybe you can forgive them and hang out with them. But if it continues to be a problem, and if it just happens on a regular basis, then I think it might be good to cut ties at that point and just move on. But there's no reason to overreact, and just being calm. Think about, like, well, is your reaction going to help any if you have a loud or just some kind of big reaction, or is it just not going to improve things at all? If it's not going to really improve the situation, then why waste the effort? Just, you don't even have to take it personally, because the person that's taking out whatever it is that's bothering them on you, they might not be doing it. They're just doing it because they just want to lash out at someone, and it's likely nothing to do with you. Like, and it is unfair that they're choosing to do that. But some people just have a hard time expressing themselves in appropriate ways, and that's okay. You know, life is a journey. They're still learning, and they haven't gotten to that point yet where they're able to not lash out at you. And if that's the case, you can choose who your friends are. You don't have to be friends with someone like that. And there's so many people out there, and sometimes people are not. They may not look like the best to hang out with, but you may find someone that's actually pretty amazing if you just give them a chance.